In a quiet corner of the bustling university town, there stood an old apartment building, its weathered bricks whispering tales of generations past. It was here that a young student, eager to begin their academic journey, found a home away from home. The rent was surprisingly affordable, a blessing for their meager budget, and the location couldn't have been more convenient. As the sun dipped below the horizon on that first night, the students settled into their new bed, the unfamiliar creaks and groans of the old building slowly fading into the background. Sleep came easily, wrapping them in a cocoon of dreams. But in the depths of that first slumber, something stirred. A presence, barely perceptible, lingered at the foot of the bed. A figure, shrouded in shadow, sat motionless, its gaze fixed upon the sleeping form. When morning came, the memory of the dream was hazy, easily dismissed as the product of an overactive imagination. Night after night, the dream returned. Each time, the figure seemed a little clearer, a little closer. Its features remained obscured, but its presence grew more tangible with every passing evening. The student found themselves both dreading and anticipating sleep, curiosity warring with an inexplicable sense of unease. As the days turned to weeks, the dreams became more vivid, more real. The figure no longer remained at the foot of the bed, but inched closer with each visitation. Its form became more defined, though still cloaked in shadow. The student could now make out the curve of his shoulder, the outline of a face, though the details remained frustratingly out of reach. One morning, as sunlight streamed through the dusty window pane, the student awoke with a start. Something felt different. Throwing back the covers, they gasped at the sight of dirt smudged across their feet. Confusion clouded their mind. They hadn't left the bed, hadn't even stepped outside the day before. Yet there it was, undeniable evidence of a midnight wandering they couldn't remember. Troubled, the student confided in their roommate over a hurried breakfast. The roommate's brow furrowed as they listened, concern etching lines across their young face. "You know," they said hesitantly, "I've been meaning to tell you something. The past few nights, I've heard you talking in your sleep, but it doesn't sound like you. The voice, it's different, older, maybe, or just, not you." The words sent a chill down the student's spine, a creeping dread that lingered long after the conversation had ended. That night, as they lay in bed, eyes wide open and heart racing, sleep seemed both impossible and inevitable. When it finally came, it brought with it the most vivid dream yet. The figure was no longer content to watch from afar. It loomed over the bed, its face mere inches from the student's own. And then, for the first time, it spoke. The words were a whisper, barely audible, yet they echoed with terrifying clarity. "Move over, it's my turn." The student jolted awake, a scream caught in their throat. Sunlight flooded the room, chasing away the lingering shadows of the night. Relief washed over them as reality reasserted itself. It was just a dream, they told themselves. Just a dream. But as they stumbled to the bathroom, still shaking off the last vestiges of sleep, something caught their eye. In the mirror, their reflection stared back at them. But while their face was a mask of fear and confusion, their reflection smiled. It was a small thing, that smile. Just a slight upturn of the lips, a glimmer in the eyes. But it was enough to make the student realize that the nightmare wasn't over, that perhaps it had only just begun. As they stood there, frozen in horror, watching their reflection move of its own accord, a terrible understanding began to dawn. The visitor, in their dreams, had never been content to simply watch. It had been waiting, patiently, night after night, inching closer, growing stronger, until finally, the student's hand reached out, trembling, to touch the cool surface of the mirror. But it wasn't their hand anymore, was it? And as their reflection's smile widened, they knew with chilling certainty that from this moment on, nothing would ever be the same again. The visitor had found its new home, and the student, well, perhaps they would be the one watching from now on, a silent observer in a body no longer their own. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, casting long shadows across the room, the figure that had once been a student turned away from the mirror, ready to begin its new life. And somewhere, in the deepest recesses of their shared consciousness, a small voice cried out, unheard and unheeded, as the day began anew.